Welcome to Easy Workflow Quick Start Training video. Let's build a 4-step workflow. In Step 1, an end user inputs data into an Excel file, which acts as the work item template for the workflow. In Step 2, the data is tested against SAP without committing the data to SAP to verify that the data is valid. The testing process is done automatically utilizing a process runner MM02 automation script set to test run. In Step 3, the work item is routed to a manager responsible for approving the changes. In Step 4, the work item is routed to a data management group member responsible for uploading the changes to SAP utilizing a process runner MM02 automation script, which will be executed from the work item template. To build this 4-step workflow, let's create a process runner MM02 automation script. Bind the MM02 script to the Excel file. Upload the Excel file to the Easy Workflow server. Configure users for the workflow. Configure a group for the workflow. Configure the 4-step workflow. And finally, test the completed workflow. First, let's configure the MM02 automation script. Launch Process Runner and select New Transaction. Enter the T-code MM02 and select the Start Recording button. Now sign in to the SAP system. In the first screen, enter the material number. Select Enter. Now let's go to the basic data view. Change the gross weight and the net weight. For this demo, we use a simple script to configure a workflow with Easy Workflow. Select Save. In the Mapper ribbon of Process Runner, let's map the automation script to the Excel file. Go to the Home tab and navigate to the Excel file. Here, the material number comes from column A, the gross weight comes from column B, and the net weight comes from column C. Now, the automation script is completed, and let's save the file. Select File, Save and Save as Local. For this demo, let's save the file in the Downloads folder and enter the name MM02 list. Now, let's bind the automation script to the Excel file. In the Home ribbon of Process Runner, select the Generate Template dropdown. Select Save as an Excel add-in Ready file. In the Embedded Process File list, you can see the Excel file in which the automation script is going to be embedded. Select Generate and OK. Now the screen flickers a little bit, and we are completed with the process. Close the process runner and the Excel file opens. Let's go to the next step, uploading this Excel file to the Easy Workflow server. This is a very simple process. Go to the Easy Workflow section and select Save on eShare dropdown and select Save on eShare. eShare is another term for the Easy Workflow server. In the next window, you can see the file name. Select the sharing type either read-only or read or write. You can take a screenshot of the Excel file and upload it as a file image. Select OK. The template is now stored on the Easy Workflow server. Now let's configure users for the workflow. From the Easy Workflow section, select Tools and select Easy Workflow Cockpit from the drop-down. Sign in with your administrator credentials, and Easy Workflow Cockpit opens. Go to Users under the Master Control section. Here, let's add 2 users. Select the Add button and the Manage User window opens. Enter the Windows user ID of the first user. For this demo, let's use Test User. Enter a display name. If you wanted to allow the user to access the cockpit, you could give the sign-in password here. You can also enable the use to manage custom tables here. To receive emails, enter the user's email ID. Select Save. Since we did not enter an alternative email ID, select Yes. Now, let's configure one more user who will act as a manager for approvals. Select Add again. Enter a name for the manager, display name, and email ID. Let's also set up the Out of Office for this user. Select the Out of Office tab and enable Activate Out of Office. Set a time duration and select the substitute user from the drop-down. For this demo, let's select the test user. This is how you can set up Out of Office if you have someone who is sick or not present. Select Save and Continue. Now let's configure a group for the workflow. Let's go to User Groups under the Manage section. These are the default groups that come with Easy Workflow. Select Add and enter the name of the group. Enter the name Master Data Management Group. Select Edit and then the Manage Users to manage the users for the group. In the Manage User Group assignment window, add the users by selecting the checkbox near the users. Select Apply and confirm the changes. We've configured the Master Data Management Group and made users members of it. Next, let's configure the 4-step workflow. Select Workflows from the Manage section. Now, the easiest way to create a workflow is simply to copy a sample from this workflow list. So, select the 4-step generic workflow and select Copy. If you want to completely build a workflow from scratch, instead of clicking Copy, select the Add button and then follow the steps that are pretty similar to what we are going to do in this demo by copying a sample from the workflow list. Select Copy and enter the name MM02 Change Material Workflow. You can enter a description in the description box. Let's enter Simple 4-step workflow and select OK. Now double-click Workflow. On the right side, you can see the sample Visio diagram that is associated with this workflow. If you would like to replace it with another Visio diagram image or any other graphic file, select the Load Now icon, follow the prompts, and you can replace this image with another one. Now here we have our workflow name and our workflow priority, and this is by default set to member of the workflow group Other. You can also set workflow for a specific group. For example, a workflow group for Material Master, and categorize this with Material Master Workflow Group. In the Default Template section, activate Default Template, and from the dropdown, let's select the template that we just added, which is MM02 List. Now this workflow is going to be bound to the selected template. We have the option to utilize a template other than the default template if you want to. Let's keep that deselected. The next option is a user can use an existing instance to start this workflow. Let's select the second option. And since we're the administrator creating this, let's not enter a password in the Admin Security section. Now, you can modify any of these steps. Let's start with the first step, select Prepare Data. In the Basic Details section, you can change the name of the first step. Let's add Enter Data in Excel. Let's keep the step type as a normal run. In the Step Assignment Details section, you can assign the step. Let's keep the default selection, Initiator of Workflow. If you want to assign this step to someone else, you can use the drop-down and select the user. If you want to assign the step to a group of users, you can select the group. Now configure an estimated time for the completion of the step. Currently, it is set to 4 hours, and let's make it 8 hours. The next section is Auto Reassignment. So who will this automatically be reassigned to if the step does not get completed in the time that we designate? Activate Auto Reassignment and select another user from the drop-down. Let's select Test User 2. You can also set when to reassign in this section. Let's just keep that at the default setting of Reassign to a day. Now, go to the Allowed Action tab. In the Excel Operations section, keep the default setting of User can change data in Excel, and let's allow the attaching of supporting documents. At Step 1, let's not allow any SAP actions to be performed, so keep the SAP Operations section at its default settings. In the Email Settings tab, you can see that we already have email default templates assigned, and let's keep them the same. In the Step Settings tab, you can enter some directions for the end user. Let's go back to Basic Step Definition. We don't want to allow users to close out the workflow on a reject at this first step. So in the Post-Step Action type, select Go to Step. You can now see a new tab. Post-Step Action Go to Step. Select the tab. So if this step is approved, it is going to advance to the next step. Let's say that if this step is rejected, it should mark as workflow is completed. You can select the appropriate option from the drop-down. If a person changes their mind and doesn't want to enter in any data or for whatever reason needs to close out the workflow, they just need to reject it and they'll be able to close the workflow. Let's go to Step 2. In this step, let's test the data against SAP. So enter the name test data. Instead of a normal run, this time from the dropdown, select Auto Test Run. So this is going to utilize the test run feature of Process Runner that MM02 automation script will execute in a test run capacity. In the Auto Task Parameters section, select the process name MM02 from the dropdown. Select the sheet and keep the default setting of the estimated time to complete. In the SAP Logon Information section, let's provide an SAP Logon shortcut. From the dropdown, select Create New Shared SAP Logon Shortcut. Select the proper SAP system. Let's enter the name IED, client information, and SAP user credentials. Enter the password and select Test to ensure the SAP Logon shortcut will work properly. Save the shortcut. Now let's configure the setting for if the automatic test run is completed, what should happen? Let's select Consider the step approved only if there is no error. So if there is an error in the data, it should get routed back to step 1. To set that, in the Post-Step Action Type section, select Go to Step. Here it is already selected, and you can see the Post-Step Action Go to Step tab. Select the tab. The first action is, if the workflow is approved, it's going to go to the next step. But if the workflow is rejected, let's select Go to the first step or go back to the previously executed step, as this essentially would send it back to step 1. Let's now set up email templates. Go to the Email Settings tab. From this drop-down here, Template to Use, let's go ahead and select Auto Run Task Started. So an email alert will be sent out when this step starts. Select the email icon, and we can see what that email template would look like. Select Manage Template. This is the basic template for when the task is assigned, and you can see the email will be routed to the admin of workflow. Let's route this to the first step owner, just letting them know that essentially the auto run task has started. You can also send it to a defined user, and even our administrator here. Select and save. Select OK. Let's select Auto Run Task Completed Template here. Again, go to the Manage Templates here. You can see what the message will be if it has been approved. And this time, it's going to get directed to the admin of workflow. Let's change it to the first step owner of the workflow. And now, let's look at the reject workflow. From the dropdown, select Auto Run Task Rejected. And we have the When the current step has an error. Error on workflow step default. Let's just keep these default templates here. Now let's go to step 3. This step is Manager Approval. So, let's continue with the step name and normal run step type. This time, let's designate to Test User 2. Since we haven't created many users, let's not configure the Auto Reassignment section. But it would be a good idea to use the Auto Reassignment option if Test User 2 is absent. Go to the Allowed Action tab. Let's select Allow for data to be reviewed in Excel. By keeping this setting, Test User 2 is not going to be able to modify the data in the Excel file. Let's enable Attach the supporting documents as well. Since Test User 2 doesn't need to upload the data to SAP, let's keep the SAP Operations section at their default settings. Let's go over to the Email settings and keep these at their default settings. Now let's go to the Step settings and keep the instructions displayed. Next is the Post to SAP step. Let's enter the step name. Upload data to SAP. Let's keep the step type Normal Run. You can select Auto Run, in which case the process will execute automatically. For this demo, let's continue with Normal Run. Let's assign this step to a group. Select the Group option, and from the drop-down, select the Master Data Management group that we configured. If this group has multiple users, each member will receive an email alert, letting them know that they've been assigned the work item. In the Auto Reassignment section, let's assign it to the administrator, and just keep the default setting to reassign after 1 day. Go to the Post-Step Action, Go to Step tab. This time, if the workflow is approved, select Mark Workflow as completed. And if it is rejected, let's select Mark Workflow as completed as well. Now both the Master Data Management group can close this out, as well as the user, in Step 1 could close this workflow out. Let's just keep the email settings in the default settings. In the Step setting, let's enter the instructions. If you would like to utilize PNG or graphic files in these instructions, you can just drag and drop, and then your graphic file will act as instructions. For now, let's just keep these instructions. Now go to the Allowed Action tab. Again, let's set it as User can review data in Excel. Now we determine which SAP processes can be utilized. You can see that the checkboxes User can perform following SAP actions, any SAP process that is available in the template, and all SAP actions are enabled. Since we've already utilized the test run feature and the data cannot be disturbed in any way because we've locked the Excel file in the previous steps, let's push the selected SAP actions and only allow for the run option and not the test option. Let's set this to only allow the run action at this last step. You can also use segregation of duties (SOD) settings to restrict a user who enters data at a previous step from posting the data at a later step. The SOD settings can be used at any step of the workflow. Although it would be smart to use this option, let's not configure SOD settings for this demo. Now the workflow configuration is complete. Save the changes and close. The next step is testing the completed workflow. Close this Excel file that we uploaded as a template. Now open a new Excel file. Go to the Process Runner tab. Select the Start Workflow button. Scroll down, and you can see the template and the MM02 change material workflow that is associated with this, the one that we just created. Select Start. The pop-up asks to confirm to start, and select Yes. Let's enter a new gross weight and net weight. You can notice that the run options are grayed out. It allows only entering data into the Excel file. Since we did allow supporting documents, select Supporting Documents here. Navigate to the document, and the document is now attached. Select Save. Now select the Approve work item, and it is now going to execute the test run feature of Process Runner. You can add additional notes or instructions here. Select Approve and Continue. Now let's go to the Easy Workflow inbox. Here, you can see that Step 3 has been assigned to the test user, and that's because we set up the Out of Office for Test User 2. Right-click on the workflow and select Work Item Status. Here you can see the test run was successful. Close the window and double-click the workflow. You can see the results of the test run. So now let's just review the data since we set this to be locked. The data cannot be edited here. Also, the test user is not allowed to execute that MM02 process. It is completely grayed out. Let's go ahead and approve the work item. Select Approve and Continue. Now it is routed to the members from the Master Data Management Group, and the test user is a member of that group. So let's select Inbox, and you can see the workflow is at Step 4. Double-click on it. You can see the results. Again, the test user cannot edit the data, but the Run option is now enabled. Select the magnifying glass icon to see the instructions. Now let's go ahead and select the Run button and upload the data to SAP. Enter the login credentials. You can see the materials have been changed. Now, select Approve Work Item and select Approve. You can see the inbox gets refreshed, and there are no longer any work items left. So the workflow has been completed. Let's look into a bonus session, Analyzing Reporting. To analyze the reporting, exit out of the Easy Workflow inbox. In the Excel instance, select Tools and Easy Workflow Cockpit. Sign in with administrator credentials. In the Easy Workflow Cockpit, go to the Users and double-click the test user. Let's give the test user some administrator rights so that we can view reporting in this demo. Go to the User Roles tab. Instead of the standard role, let's select Admin role for the test user. You can select this I button for information here and see the various rights the admin role has. Save the changes and exit. Now the test user has administrative rights. Close the Easy Workflow Cockpit. Let's select the inbox here. Go to Advanced View. Select Workflow History or All Workflow Items. Here you can see the completed workflow. You can view each step of the workflow, its assignee, the time spent on each step, and whether it was completed. There you have it. You have configured a basic workflow with Easy Workflow. Please share your thoughts and suggestions with us via this email. Additionally, for more information, access the Insight software product documentation using the link provided in the description.